Architecture is about much more than just buildings. It shapes our societies, our cities, and our world, creating spaces for people to live, work, and play. But as urban centers continue to expand and encroach on nature, sustainability has become a defining feature of a new architectural landscape. It's a shift that seeks to balance form and function with environmental responsibility. On this episode of Leaders with Lacqua Goes Green, I meet the internationally acclaimed architect, Francis Kéré, who started with a simple dream: to build a school in his village in Burkina Faso. Today, he's recognized globally for his innovative works, inspired by nature and tradition. He joined me at the Bloomberg Sustainable Business Summit, and he spoke about his remarkable journey from humble beginnings to the world stage, his community-centered approach, and how he's inspiring the next generation. Thank you, Francis, for giving us a little bit of your busy schedule. I've been so excited to meet you because of really being a pioneer in what you do. When did you decide you wanted to be an architect and you wanted to make a difference?
Well, thank you. Thank you for getting me here. As far as I can think back, there are many things in my life that brought me to become an architect. First of all, you have to know that I have to leave my family when I was 7 to be able to learn how to read and write. So from that moment, I was living by relatives. I was sitting in classrooms that were very dark while there was abundant sunlight outside. And it was very hot. And you have to know that in 50 square meters, we were more than 100 kids, sitting next to each other. And then something that, within the heat, but something that marked me was, kids were kids. We will sit in the benches and we just play like this, and the benches will be wobbling and nails will pop out. And so I'm sorry to say that, but it may hurt your best part, your bottom. And I couldn't accept that, all of that. So for the benches, I knew there is a carpenter on my way to the school, and I went to intern. As a 9 years old boy, I went to intern to fix our bench first. So there's a lot of things that brought me, to become architect. So one day when I had the chance, I decided to become a carpenter.
That's amazing. But so it really started out of actually making education better. It started as actually putting a community together that could learn together to then better lives.
Yeah, I started to work as a carpenter just to earn some money. Luckily, I won a scholarship that brought me to Germany to be further trained as a better carpenter. So there... So
this is age 20?
Yeah, 20, very young, 19. And so there I arrived and I felt, wow, I'm in the country of abundance, a paradise. I was intrigued that you could access education. And so I started to ask these people that brought me there, look, I know how to make furniture, I know how to make a roof for a building, I want to know how to learn to layer bricks. Then I will go back to Burkina and will build for my community. So they told me, no, Mr. Kéré, this is impossible. So you came for one program, you cannot do the other. And during discussion, they said, what are you thinking to do? Sounds like you want to become an architect. I said, oh, wow, cool. What is that? So, you have to become an architect. At that time, I didn't know what is an architect. I said, oh, it's gonna be cool to become an architect. So, but how can I become architect? You have to study. So I had no high school degree. And they said, yeah, you cannot. I asked them, where can you do a high school degree? And they told me there is a school at night where adult, because I was past 20, where adult can do their high school degree.
But Francis, at the time, what did you understand an architect was, or what an architect could do?
At that time, I understood there was someone who could make furniture, who could make a roof, who could layer bricks and make a house. And I wanted to become that guy. So this is the moment where everything started. And I had to go to an evening school in Germany, 5 years. And during the day, I will work, which is normal. We all do work. And then I will do school from 6 to 11 p.m. And after 5 years, I graduated and I went to university.
And that's resilience.
Yes.
I mean, it's resilience. What do you think? You know, a lot of people look at your projects and say they're beautiful and they're actually so different. Yeah. But do you think, is it really resilience and that wanting to do something better for your community that made your success?
Yeah. So first, my dream was always to make myself useful for my community. I am a member of a community, a very poor village, where there is no life insurance, no driving insurance, nothing but the security of the community. And everyone has to contribute. So I went far away from that community, and being in Germany, becoming a student, 2 years later, I was thinking, wow, what can you bring back home? Because they haven't seen you for more than 7 years. What can you do?
So did you feel pressured to deliver?
Yes, pressure, and later the envy to contribute to the growth of that community. That's why I started as a student to design a school at university. And as a student, I was able to build my very first school made out of clay and rebars, clay from the village, and to create a building that no one has seen before, but with the community, Why? Why? I can tell you. We are a very remote place, and no one has a chance. I was the very first to attend education, so to learn how to read and write.
Of your whole village?
Yes. So what you do, in my head was, okay, if you want to succeed, you have to get everyone to be part of it. So I didn't know that what I was doing would have that impact today. But it was just to take the existing material, what people know for a long time, and get people to be part of it to create a school.
Coming up, Francis Kéré on why sustainable architecture can be both beautiful and affordable. Francis Kéré has always been deeply connected to his roots. One of his most celebrated projects is a primary school in his hometown. Using local materials and traditional techniques, he created a space that is both functional and beautiful, but also environmentally friendly. I continue the conversation.
So you have a compass almost in your eye. What inspires you?
Yeah, inspiration comes from nature first, but also from traditional architecture. Sometimes a canopy, a shelter, providing shadow can become a classroom. I am very inspired about that. But I had the chance to access the Western world, where I discovered a lot of examples, and I love the rationalist architect, just trying to do with little material and resources a lot. And in Gando, I had a lot of clay and a lot of people, and people that love beauty. And so I said, if I can succeed, I want to give to my people the most beautiful school in the area, and then the most comfortable schools. And that has been my drive until now. So creating beauty, be it for you, if you ask me to do, I will do my best to achieve that. But for my community, I wanted them to have luxury in terms of comfort, but in terms of something that I can look and say, we were proud, we were proud of the construction.
With very simple materials, because there is a belief, in a lot of Western countries that actually sustainability comes at a cost, that the materials are expensive, and you've gone almost against that to show the world that you can afford, beautiful things done with sustainable materials. Does that work elsewhere than actually in Africa?
I launched a kindergarten in Munich, actually where I'm teaching. And it has been well received, but for me is again the pressure because I have to succeed. So we're building a vertical kindergarten, completely out of wood. Germany has wood, sure, but we want to be radical, not in terms of aggressive, but in the way you use things, to say, okay, let's use it, the wood as much as possible to reduce all the other materials. Let's see what it will be. And I mean, it is Germany, you're building for the most fragile part of a population, and you want to build a vertical kindergarten 5-story high, and you want to completely use wood, it took us about 1.5 years to achieve that. And this is the problem where we may face in the world. But about cost, I don't think that we're going to have a good world if we're afraid about investing. Everything should be cheap, 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 cheap. For me, our world has become cheap because of these people thinking cheap is the solution. No, that's why we're sticking in plastic. You know, it has to be cheap, cheap and fast.
Have you seen a shift, or do you have more backers, more people that actually are interested in beautiful things for the longer term? Or was that for a while and then actually shifting the other way?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So when I started, people would say, oh, it's the little guy building little school in his tiny little village. Actually, Burkina Faso have a huge workshop with young people that are trained. Oh, they're not young anymore because we started together, and they can do what we're doing. And we have a lot of people asking, you know, I know that your way of building using the material is expensive, but that is the better way to do. They started for, little NGOs started to ask for schools, but now even private people are telling me, we know that is the best way. The material is good to human being, but also the result is live longer, and then you don't need a lot of energy afterward, and there's no maintenance. People are asking, while in the Western world, people get inspired from what I have been creating, I'm getting a lot of demand, of course, and that is my little problem. I love to work to create things that make the difference, being on how it looks, being on how it's inspired people. But now I'm facing a little problem because those projects are taking me away from my community to be able to do that. And I think these are what they call brain drain, you know?
It's a good problem to have. Do you have a favorite project? I don't even know if I should ask you.
No, I have many, many favorite projects, but my absolute favorite was the primary school that I built. You know, as a kid, you come back to your village in a place where education is about walking with your grandfather, your grandmother, or your mother for years to learn to do something. And I just left this village. I come back and say, guys, come together. We're going to build a school. And they was looking, huh? What? We haven't seen him be trained as a builder. How can he do that? And, you know, and we start to work, talk. We made bricks out of the clay. And we built, raised a wall 1 meter high. And then the first rain came. Okay? And then I was sleeping. And I got noise, and I wake up, I realized it was the women from the village. And they're coming to my car. I said, yeah, we already have a lot of meetings, and we know we're going to work. Why are they coming again this morning early? And I didn't get it. And before I complained, my brother came in and said, you know, I have to tell you something. Did you hear the women? I said, yes, I heard. What was happening? No, they was coming to consolate you, because in our memory, if a clay building is not finished and the first rain comes, it will destroy it. And so for them, it was sure the building was destroyed, and they wanted to consolate me so that you don't hurt yourself or you don't get. But then it was like a miracle.
It was still there.
This emotional thing, and that what we have seen made this building so important to me. Really very, very important.
Coming up, Francis Kéré on global recognition and how he measures success. From public buildings in Africa to cultural installations in Europe, Francis Kéré's impact is global. His pioneering work has earned him numerous awards. In 2022, he became the first African winner of the prestigious Pritzker Architecture Prize, the highest honor in the profession. His approach is changing the architectural landscape, but also challenging the status quo. I continue the conversation.
Can you talk to us about the first time that you won a big prize? I mean, you've won many prizes.
Yeah.
There's one that is like the gold standard for any architect.
Yeah.
Did you feel joy or did you feel pressure?
I was surprised first in 2004 to win the Arcana Award. That time I was already a little bit shy because I had to go to India to receive the prize. And I didn't know what it was, but it was a very important prize, as I realized later. But why I was sad? Because I will be celebrated far away from the community that has brought effort to help me realize what we have done. But the prize was good. People start to dig and see how I was doing. And eventually, some people start to invite me to give lectures, to talk. It created a visibility. And so on. We got a lot. But of course, two years ago, I won the Pritzker. I still don't believe that I won it, that it is me, really honestly. But it came, and it came with a big pressure, but also joy. But also, it's at the end of the day, it's grounding me because I'm saying, wow, is you, Francis, or is this someone else? Prizes are great, but also good clients and good sponsors are good, like this Parliament House in Benin. Normally I will come with an inspiration. In London for the Serpentine Pavilion, I wanted to bring a big tree and I dressed blue like you, really, because blue is the color of a favorite in Burkina Faso, That's why I love it, because for your first date for a young man, so going to meet his girlfriend, you have to dress blue. So if you dress blue and you walk toward the savannah in my place, so all the young competitor now is done. And for me in London, I just wanted to show me with my best. That's why I love your dress. It's inspiring me. I wanted to create a blue pavilion. And I was inspired by the color of my culture, by the celebratory character. And I did it. But the Parliament House in Benin, it was different. Because we in Africa, because of the colonial power did a wonderful work, They make us believe that what we have has no value to be, Yeah, they did a wonderful work. For the Parliament House in Benin, I wanted to create the palava tree. The palava tree, for those that has been taken away from their culture, it is now something primitive. Why he want us to go back to, to a palava tree? But because I see democracy in Africa is sick, because we have been far from our roots, from our cultural habit. A palava tree is where you meet to discuss the daily life of people. Do you feel yourself political, or actually, finding through architecture and beauty a political voice, a message? Yeah. So yes, architecture can have a symbolical power, but to be political yourself is difficult, because I love design. I want to spend time in that. To try to introduce symbols is to make sure that you create peace. If people believe in the symbol and you try to give them back this symbol, then they feel bespoke and they will rely the idea. But it's also amazing when you read about diplomacy. It's actually the size of a room, how close you are to someone you need to negotiate with, and foreign policy actually makes a big difference. Oh yes. Do you and it seems that in all of your design you think about that a lot to I guess bring people together and get them to talk more. Yeah. So it's a social project or an urban project. I think it is important to get everyone be part of it and not to be surprised later. A building first mobilizes a lot of resources, but the building affects every one of us. And you don't want to have an ugly, nonsense building in your neighborhood. So a building should inspire, should have a purpose, should provide comfort and everything to people, but also become something inspiring within a community, within a neighborhood. How would you design maybe a city of the future? A city needs to have the traces of generation that has passed before us. I think it is important in cities nowadays that we more put community interest, so in the center of interest, when designing. And this has been neglected. I think we're making the mistake to think that things are impossible. This is not true. There is still a way to improve. We should need to have the political will, but also be ready to put resources in that, because it's about human beings.
Do you like or dislike the word sustainable? Because a lot of people are saying, you know, it's become something that actually doesn't speak to people, whereas how you design is local. It's people that speak to the community. It's buildings that last.
Yeah. It's a problem with sustainability. I feel that those that has the capital power to buy an etiquette and drop on the project call themselves sustainable. But the status quo is not changing, you know, and this is the problem. With the financial power, they throw us an etiquette, I am sustainable. What I'm doing is sustainable. But in the deep thing, in the depth of the thing, nothing is changing. So that is not the way we will create a better future for our people. No, that's not. So that's why I'm afraid about sustainability. But deeply thought, starting to do things like me, when I start to build, I never knew, encountered this word sustainability. But I knew from my heart, from deep on me, if I take the most available material that people knows and I improve it a way that it can inspire my people, but have a long-lasting life, this is good. If I can get people to be part of it and learn new things, sharing knowledge, I knew this is important because we're not called, Francine, we're not called to stay forever here on the planet. But if you teach people to do things properly, rather than to teach them to make very fast business, always business, fast, 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 so, you know, if we teach them properly, if we go, they will go, keep doing like what we have done.
You're inspiring also a new generation, actually, of architects in Africa. You know, are becoming, frankly, more famous almost by the day. What do you want to achieve in your lifetime? Like, how will you measure success?
Yeah. Well, first of all, to be able to withstand pressure. Of course, if suddenly young people come and see or texting you, sending you things, and you start to say, wow, my gosh, I'm Francis Kéré. I'm an architect. I just wanted to build a school for my people. I don't want to be recognized in the road, but nowadays if you say, oh, picture, photo, you are under pressure, but at the same time you realize you cannot be aggressive because you have done something that these people love. That's why they want to gather with you. And so that is a pressure for sure. I want to withstand this. What legacy I would love to leave is to make sure that in my village I have infrastructure. So long when I'm gone, things are still working. Then I have done my job. And if some people get inspired through my work and then try to engage themselves for their community and create something that is inspiring for everyone, I will be happy.
What's the best piece of advice you would give to someone young who wants to make a difference actually in this world? In architecture or with something else?
To believe in yourself and really work hard. You know, when I started, no one would have imagined that I will be able to see my name connected with Aga Khan or Pritzker or sitting at Bloomberg to talk about sustainability, about future of sales. No, myself 5 years ago, if you told me that, I will say no. I will never imagine. So I will encourage everyone to believe in what you're doing and not try to run after the newest of the newest. Just be consistent. Just work on things that matters for you. Really, at the long term, it pays.
Francis Kéré, thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.